All right. Welcome back to another month. It's March. Thomas, with me like usual, virtual. How are you this month, Tom?
I'm good. How you doing? Excited for the month of March. Excited for all the St. Patrick's Day shenanigans, the March Madness, all the good stuff.
All right, so we're recording this on the 15th, but it'll drop on the 20th. So we get to look forward to all our St. Patrick's Day shenanigans now, but when everyone else sees this, the shenanigans will have already occurred.
Or, the weekend after is still counts.
The St. Patrick's Day was on Tuesday, so my Substack really talked about a lot of the parallels of St. Patrick's Day heritage of Wall Street. So
Mm.
that was a good one. Um, I had a couple good stories from St. Patrick's Day when I was on the trading floors. We had a guy come in with a kilt and bagpipes, and his band came in and sang one time on the floor. That was cool. And you can go out to like the Irish pubs in Manhattan. That's fun.
Or like
Uh,
shore leave.
yeah, yeah. So it was a good time. But nothing too exciting happening now these days. You know, my wife made corned beef and cabbage, traditional stuff. That's about all we can say on that.
Yeah, I'm doing that on Saturday.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. It's a tradition. It's one of the few traditions we seem to uphold. But we got things to talk about. It's been a hell of a month, right?
Yeah, it's been a month. It's
Been
been
a month.
something.
Been a month. All right, so I mean, let's get right into the markets of what's going
Yeah.
on. So, what have you been following?
Just a broad overview of, the major indices, S&P, the Nasdaq, things like that. Just kind of everything's taking a dump. All the you see the people post things and they say like, oh, the market has lost X amount of dollars, and they see the charts that are or the what is it, the bubble charts, and they're either red or green on the stocks, and you see like the major one, it's just one big brick of red. It's like lost 8%, 9%, 10% here. It's been
Or
a bit of a bloodbath,
they
it
always
seems
do the
like, lately.
memes where they always do the
Yeah,
memes with it'll be like Powell like taking a selfie of himself in front of the wall of red. That's the
yeah,
wall of the Nasdaq where like CNBC used to have that up every day, and they'd be like
yeah.
reporting about the state of the Nasdaq, and the wall thing just sort of like hung as like a legacy little chart. So yeah, you know what the thing about it is, the indices on aggregate have been remarkably resilient. I mean, the S&P is only down about, I mean, again, it's going to be a hell of a week. Let's see what happens. But right now, the S&P is only down like 5% through it all, which is perfectly healthy, 5% all the time, you know?
Yeah, it's just, I guess, perception is it's perceived that it's like, oh, it's this gloom and doom thing, like it's really going down, there's a whole bunch of uncertainty, a lot of sell-offs, a lot of things going on, obviously.
With the
Things going on.
buying and the selling and the oi and the what's the
Well, all of the geopolitical stress is one thing, and then also, AI ramping up is another thing that people are concerned about, so a lot of people are selling off things. So that's what it seems like, anyway.
I enjoy when big geopolitical events factor in, and then like they look at charts. Like the oil chart right now is like all technical analysis goes out the window when it
Hmm.
just skyrocketed to $100 a barrel. It was not something that you could really work around in any like rational way. You can't be
Right.
like, oh, the Fibonacci numbers came in and aligned in this way, and that's why we suddenly had $100 oil. It's like, no, no, that's not what was going on there.
Right.
The concern is the
Well, oil in
duration.
general.
Hmm?
Yeah. Oil in general, that was pretty aggressively volatile, which makes sense. But everybody thought there was the one, I think it was in the beginning of the week, where everybody's like, "Oh, it's going to skyrocket," and then it tanked, and then it went back up. It's like, oh man, that's not good.
Well said. Well said. I mean, the thing about it is, so like what happened is, and I talked about it like 2 months ago, nat gas in the end of January spiked hard because of all the winter storms. And
Mhm.
then it came right back down, and nat gas prices are actually lower now than they were before the storm. I've double checked to make sure that's true right now, but that's the last time I checked. Uh, yeah, they're about as they're about the same prices they were before the storm. So there was like this massive spike up, and then it came right back down. The best case scenario is that's what's going to happen with the oil right now. That you're going to get this massive spike up, but they're going to find a way to bring price back down. I don't think they will. That's going to be the real problem. I think that there's now like probably a $90 floor on oil, like at least for a foreseeable time frame. I
Right.
mean, maybe it'll gyrate down hard below 90, but then it'll come right back up. Sure, like I think you're looking at a new floor in oil prices for a while because there's going to be a lot of uncertainty in how much they're actually going to be able to get out of the strait. So it's not going to be like a spike like we saw in nat gas. I think you're going to see like a materially higher floor in prices now for a while.
Yep.
What that does to across the board, I don't know. Like, was that due to inflation? Was it due to yields? Time will tell because we're gonna have to see how it like shakes through the economy. It's gonna be a
Right.
little. It's gonna be dicey though. It's like, oh, this is not. This was totally foreseeable
Right.
and not at all pleasant.
Right.
So we're gonna see exactly how much that takes a hit on things. I am more concerned about like that like long duration than what the price actually spikes to. That's my broad point there. Like
Right.
oil could hit like $180 a barrel for like a day and a half, and it's like cool, that's neat. But then it'll come right back down. Then who cares? But if it's constantly now in a different like paradigm, then I think we're gonna have a problem.
Right.
So we're gonna see what happens with that. Let me so I have a little new tool, and by a new tool I mean I set up an account and I can share my screen on Zoom. So we're really using some cutting edge stuff, but those would be kind of neat. So let me bring this up really quick. And boom. All right. So this is what I'm talking about. Like the nat gas contracts spiked hard because of the storm only for a couple days and then immediately came back down. And now you've got them like right back where it was. So that was an aberration. But if you go to, do I have crude up? No, I do not. If you go to crude futures, like this is now just going to stay.
Hmm.
Like like it's very plausible. So I am looking at a day chart. If I jump out to a weekly, but with this, what you're seeing is when you pull back to a weekly chart at a weekly time frame, these look kind of like could be aberrations. So everyone is wondering if, like, by say the end of April, this comes back down. I don't think it will. I think you're now looking at like this like floor here. Like you're going to start to see price moving somewhere up here for the foreseeable future. So we're going to see what happens, but that's going to have a lot of ramifications.
Yeah. Negative ramifications. It's gonna be
Yes, ramifications are usually negative.
well, yeah.
So the other big problem is the credit markets now. So I talked about public credit stuff maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago,
Mm.
about how a lot of things were being diverted to private credit markets rather than normal bond markets, and it's also delaying IPOs.
Mm.
So now it looks like it may have been better off that we weren't all involved with it because a lot of the credit funds are starting to have their problems. The credit funds are starting to lock their money up. So they have in the contracts that you can't redeem your money unless the person allows it or under different redemption terms. So now they're exercising their right that not letting the investors get their money back. That's starting to happen all across private credit. So that's a whole other thing we have to contend with now. All right, so let's move on to some education topics. I've been deep diving into the Google AI stack over the last month, best I can, given
Yep.
time I have.
So
I'm
what exactly are you talking about with the Google AI stuff?
so each company has their model.
Right.
OpenAI has ChatGPT,
Hmm.
Google has Gemini, and Anthropic has Claude, and so on and so forth. Grok is Elon's AI. There's a couple others. So I have starting to download all of the other tools that you can use to build agents similar to Claude Code and the Claude agents that you might have been hearing about. I'm just doing it through the Google Gemini set of models and tools and whatnot. So it's kind of like it's more than Coke versus Pepsi, but it's like it's even more of the it's not a duopoly yet, but it's like that you have a couple different options. Or it's more like car companies might be a better example. Like it's like what model are you? Are you a
Right. Do you want
Ford
a Ford
guy
versus a
or whatever?
Toyota or something? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. But anyway, but it also has the pragmatic value of I already have Gmail. Like I use Google for everything already, so it just extends outward. I
Right.
just now incorporate Gemini into Chrome, my browser.
Right.
So I've like made a commitment to like, okay, I'm gonna be like a Gemini guy. In the
Yeah.
same way you have to decide if you're gonna be like an iPhone guy or a Droid guy.
Right.
It's a lot like that. That's what
Yeah.
this is quickly becoming.
Right.
Because I originally had a ChatGPT subscription, but I converted over to Gemini like January with the
Yeah.
intent of doing this, and I realized that I already had like a robust profile in ChatGPT of like knew my preferences and stuff, and so I had to port that over, and it grows very quickly. Porting it over is not so hard; it's just like you copy and paste. But the point is, you entrench yourself with it very quickly. You become very acclimated to whatever you're using. So
Yeah. I definitely so I one of my goals this year, right, is to be better at learning AI. And I will say that I've been using Gemini much more frequently than I was using like ChatGPT or something like that. I think Gemini is much better just from what I've used it for. And I think it's much more user friendly. And I think obviously because I'm using it more, I'm getting used to it and it's getting used to me. So it's a nice symbiotic thing that we're learning. But I think Gemini is pretty good personally. But yeah,
the pieces that I wanted, my attitude with it is I'm already familiar with it,
right,
and like Google's suite of products, they just extend naturally. And as I learn them, Gemini will know how to use it. Because once you
right.
get into cross systems, the amount of knowledge the thing's going to have is starts to become limited. But
Right.
like Gemini better know how to set up the Google AI Studio tool.
Right.
You know what I mean? I
Right.
can
Exactly.
understand if ChatGPT can't quite figure it out, but like Gemini better be able to. So I've been setting up all of the prerequisites for it. I really went to task and re updated all of my systems from like development days. So I had to get Python up and running. I had to get I downloaded the new IDE for AI that Google has. I got my accounts boosted this month so I can get better access to the systems. And I'm really trying to really trying to get like learn out the nuts and bolts of it and see like what is it doing and how is it working. The consensus to me so far is that it's useful, but it requires a lot of prerequisite understanding about how certain technical concepts work. Like you can't just
It's not as dummy friendly. It's not like you can't just start talking to it. You actually have to know what's going on a little bit behind the scenes to really make it all work and hum together.
if I think what you're going to see is a lot of startups using it heavily, but I really have difficulty seeing it embedding itself super quickly into more complex webs of like corporate America,
Mhm.
except for like nibbling at the margins, because you have to give it all this access. You have to really know how to code it, or rather, give it the instructions correctly, and you can quickly run into certain problems. So I'll give you a good example. I get a email for a subscription, and it shows certain market charts. So
Mhm.
all I wanted the AI extension to do was take the email when it comes in, save all of the charts to a folder.
Mhm.
That's what I wanted it to do.
Right.
And I just couldn't get it to work. It could
Okay.
identify the email, it could create the folder, it could not identify all the images in it. And the thing is, all you have to do is right click save as and you can get them. So it shouldn't be this like horrendously difficult thing because intuitively you can just do it easily.
Now, when you say a folder, are you talking about a folder like on your desktop, or are you talking about like a Google Drive folder?
Google Drive folder.
Okay, so it's all in the Google.
It's all in Google Cloud. Yeah.
Right.
It
Got it.
should have been this should have been like a bottom of the barrel example. Like
Right.
Gmail gets a I get an email into my Gmail account. The the AI extension, it catches that fact, that's the trigger, and then
Yep.
it's supposed to read the email body, pick out the charts, save the charts to a Google Drive folder which it creates.
Hmm. Like for that date or for that
Yeah,
email or
yeah. So now you can do this today. You don't need AI to do something like this.
right. It's more like
But what I figured out is that it would not correctly pick out the images. And the reason for it is because Google has a limitation between what's called HTML mail versus plain text mail.
mm,
And it took me probably like an hour and a half of like talking through the problem, which was great. Don't get me wrong. It was excellent at guiding me through the errors I was receiving for it, which is a positive in what I had hoped for. Like it could explain what I was doing. The problem is that I couldn't ultimately do it, and it admitted
right.
it.
It's frustrating. Yeah, it's frustrating.
So it's like I spent like an hour and a half, and it very clearly laid out the exact technical reasons why it cannot fulfill my request. I
oh,
was like, oh, all right, well, all right, that
well,
was a waste of
now,
time. And then I just
now I know.
and then I just clicked save as, and then moved to the
And
into the
then you did it in
folder.
30 seconds and you were done. You're like, all
I'm like,
right,
all
well,
right, like I just
but
didn't
the
want
thing
to
is,
do it, but it's something that comes in. I get an email every morning.
right. Well, that's the thing.
So
It's
I
a
was
time
just like,
saver.
this is something very simple. This is simple automation. You don't need AI to do it. But I
Right.
was like, let's see if how AI handles it. And the answer is poor.
Poor. Yeah. Because of the technical aspects of it. But somebody somewhere will figure out how to fix that
They
patch
can
or
fix it
fix it.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's purely it's called hobbling. They just chose to not allow it to read the email in the more robust way. Why I have no idea. But like I tried to do something very simple and it was not able to accomplish it.
Well, you
So
have to upgrade your plan.
no, I don't. I have like a really robust
Well,
one.
no, but
Not
that's
to
what
go.
it's coming. That's what it's coming to.
I mean, that
So,
might be the answer down the road, but
yeah.
you know,
Well, that's so basically all you were doing was you basically opened up your browser, you opened up your Gemini, and you were basically guiding Gemini through your Gmail account to do that task. And that's what you were doing. You were basically just workshopping it through the Gemini browser aspect in the browser extension. Or did you
correct.
have yeah,
Correct.
okay.
So there are one of the good things about it is they have a lot of tools. One of the bad things about it is they have a lot of tools and it's difficult to like work your way through it. So they have a whole new language that's come out that you can install and you can develop agents for various things. That's one very highly technical area of it. It also allows you to do all these like workspace little tricks and things, which are great. They're like little productivity tools. And now that they extend it out to have AI components as well. So now you can have the AI prompt in the middle of something like a productivity task. So when I explained that thing to you earlier, it was like it was in the workspace studio. And I just selected like, okay, when an email, like that was a pre-selected option. Like it was just like point and click, like, well, when an email comes in, and then you just have to fill in like who the email comes from, and then it'll
Okay.
find it. That's like easy as like we've been able to do that for 35 years, 40
Right.
years.
Mhm.
And then it gives you an open section for a prompt. So then you explain to it what you want done, and then you can test it and see if it does it correctly, and it just would not find the damn things.
Mhm.
So it's like, all right, this just isn't going to work for what I need it for.
Right.
And that wasn't even a particularly like egregious example. So it's weird. There seems to be this growing gap between these outlandishly impressive things that you'll see from like the cutting edge people, but then like I think like average Joe is still not really able to like upkeep it into their day to day yet.
Well,
And the other possibility is I'm stupid. That's the other possibility.
no, I don't think so. I don't think that's the case at all. But I think it's just going to take time because what I've seen is like any sort of technology like this, what seems to be the major adapters are the people who are in college, right? The people who have the time and the knowledge and the people to have practical applications of it to sit and work through all that crap. So like if you have 4 years to sit and work through all that crap and then all of a sudden you get a job and you've been working on it for 4 years and you kind of know how to use it, then you're going to start to implement it in like your work life. And the people who are ahead of you in the work world who don't have that time to really play around with that stuff and learn all that stuff, they're going to slowly start to get phased out. So as that timeline goes, and also as the tool progresses, and the people that keep up with that tools are really going to start adopting it more in the mainstream. So I think right now we're kind of in the, I wouldn't say we're in the very beginning of the curve, but we're definitely like in that start upward inflection of that curve where people who are in the workforce are starting to adopt it. But then as, 2-3 years from now, it's going to be the thing. It's going to be everything that's there. And because people are going to figure out all those problems and they're going to start to fix those problems. And probably similar to like, it's a good example. When I say probably when I guess YouTube started in like 2006 and like, it was like, oh, that's cool. It's like it's like a cool video thing, but not everybody had the capability of uploading videos. Right. So then people started to really figure out how to upload videos and do things probably in 2010. I'd say 2010, 2011, because the technology on your phones had the capability of doing that, and people were able to figure out, okay, I have this thing in my pocket, and the connections were there, and it just needed time to get to that point. And I think that's where this is going to be going, where people are just figuring out, okay, well, this is the problem, we'll fix the problem, and then it's going to start bridging the gaps on all those things, and it's all just going to come together in 4 years.
Sure. There's definitely that. There's that with everything. I think the tools are powerful. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
It takes real thought to figure out how to implement them in a way that actually does something worthwhile. And I think a lot of people think like the joke when ChatGPT first came out was that it was going to be like super Google because
hmm
like people could just like, and it is true. I use ChatGPT like super Google basically.
yeah, it is
That's
super
because the
helpful.
only thing you've ever really known is a Google search field. You punch in what you want, and Google gives you your best guess return. So it does have a sensation of being similar to a Google search when you use, ChatGPT or whatever. It shortchanges by a long shot what AI can do over,
Right, right.
broader
But
horizon strokes of like, once you throw it into robotics, does all sorts of things. But I'm still like of the opinion that it's gonna take a long time for this to matriculate into like larger institutions in a meaningful way. Like I still think that a lot of people who say they're getting laid off because of AI are actually not. They're getting laid off because of perhaps other IT efficiencies. Like just because,
right,
a company could just have like put a whole new like, back office system in and it
yeah,
just does a lot of tasks better. It doesn't have to be AI, it's just better.
right,
And
yeah,
that
could be.
contribute to a lot of things. So I still see the adoption cycle being longer than most people give it credit for. I do believe though you're going to see a lot of like hot shot rocketing to the moon types where because it is significantly easier to have like four guys just focus on building all this stuff like
Yeah.
constantly just start from scratch and just build out something. Like those AI startups are going to start to flourish very quickly. So it'll be interesting to see if they're like piranhas who are gonna like eat away at like the big whales, or if they're gonna be these like Jack and the Beanstalk style like these little things grow like crazy overnight.
Mm.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know exactly what it'll be. It'll be one of the two.
Well, it could be a combination of the two. It could be a couple that are just eating away at the fringes, and then there could be one or two that really just blow up, and then absorb some of those other ones. That's.
Yeah, yeah. I think. Do you see that Netflix bought Ben Affleck's AI startup for six
Yeah,
hundred million?
I saw that. Yeah, I didn't. I just saw the headline. I didn't read anything about it, but I saw that Ben Affleck had an AI startup, and then two, two Netflix bought it. Which I'm like, well, that's a world that I don't know. I don't know how or what that's going to produce. That's
I
going to
think they
be.
bought it more from like the knowledge that they built out. Like that they were, I believe they were building sort of like AI engines to like help with movie effects and such like that.
Yeah.
So they probably just bought it to help with like in some sort of I don't know.
So here's the question, right? So I don't know the answer to this question, and it very well could have already happened. But is there like a profitable like mainstream show or something like you're even like a internet short that is completely AI generated? Because the only thing that comes to mind was Infinite Seinfeld, which was years and years and years ago. I don't know if you know what Infinite Seinfeld is, but so Infinite Seinfeld was basically um, some internet, I don't know, personality or something created an Infinite Seinfeld show on Twitch. So he basically had a computer running prompts and scripts, and he had like a 3D rendering of Seinfeld, of like, very like 1980s graphics of like the apartment and like characters and things like that. And it was just like AI generated voices for all the characters doing an infinite episode of Seinfeld. So as the plot would progress, like it would just start to change over into other things, and it just would kept going forever and ever and ever and ever. So like I wonder if there is going to be not a similar vein of Infinite Seinfeld, but a completely produced, written, and shown AI show that is going to like be like the talk, like the talk of the town, like on Netflix, like at some point, like where there's no actor,
what
there's no
you're
writers,
saying
there's
is if
no
like when is the first what you're really saying is when is the first AI version of like Jury Duty that like hit the Jury
yeah
Duty was on
yeah on Free
Freevee?
TV or whatever it was, yeah, or Freevee,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
we're
that
like
like hit that was like such a novel like
yeah
ridiculous show, but it took the internet and then people by storm for like 2 weeks and then it was over. You're saying
yeah
when is an AI version of that going to happen?
Yeah, or like just like an AI drama or an AI comedy or something along those lines, like a sitcom or something like that, that is just going to be completely produced and written
I don't
by.
think it'll be on YouTube first, or I'm sorry, I don't think it'll be on Netflix first, and the reason for that is because of all the SAG-AFTRA strikes and
Right.
deals that are being struck, and Netflix wants to be a part of like the Academy. Netflix
Right.
wants to win Academy Awards, so it would make sense for them to try to stay on
Neutral.
the actors' good sides in the long run. And in the
Yeah.
industry, they don't want to like shake the industry up too much. If you're gonna see that, it'll probably end up on YouTube. It'll be like a couple
Well,
like
but
it'll be like indies. It'll be like the Pulp Fiction of its day, you know?
right. Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like when is like would somebody put out like a Game of Thrones type series that is completely AI driven? I don't know. That'd be something.
Perhaps. And it becomes what it would be cool if it became like choose your own adventure.
That would be kind of cool. Yeah. What
I mean,
was it?
that's probably what it would
Wasn't there
be,
like
right? Like
a?
you want to see like you
Did
do
you see
this.
like I think it
No,
was
no, no. You
White.
want to see like the hero kind of like and then he trips and then suddenly he loses.
Yeah, I think Netflix already kind of did something. I think it was called like White Rabbit or something, where it was like a choose your own adventure on Netflix. That was kind of cool. Um, I have to look that up. I don't know,
But
but
when
that
or
was
if you're doing it by via AI, you can go like much more
you can go
nuanced and
way,
deep
yeah,
stuff. Yeah. Uh, because you can play video games on Netflix now, and it's the same way. It becomes personalized. You adapt, you connect your phone to it, and then you
yeah, oh,
can
yeah.
play Netflix games using your phone as the controller. So AI shows would just be like they just make shit up for you. That's all it
There
is.
you go. That's what it was. It was a Black Mirror episode. It was called
Oh, it was a Black
Bandersnatch.
Mirror
That's
episode. Okay.
that's what it was. Bandersnatch. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, but yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, where it's like a choose your own adventure AI thing, because then yeah, it can go anywhere. It doesn't have to be any sort of pre-scripted thing. It could just be this is. Oh man, that would be
It's
crazy.
basically like it would be like the new soap opera, is what you're saying.
True. Yeah, it would be like a new soap opera. Yeah, and then
I
they'll turn it into a book, and then R.L. Stein will sue for Choose Your Own Adventures from the Goosebumps series.
is there one like that? There must be.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
R.L. Stein. Yeah, it was like flip to page 86 if you want this to happen, or it was like a book or whatever. Those were good. Those are the I don't know. I like those ones. Those were good. I think there was one about a clock. It was like tick tock, you're dead, or something like that. Something so stupid.
I remember. I remember. I didn't read too many of them. I don't really like horror. Which my wife still makes fun of me for. But anyway, the way you're talking about the books and the Scholastic Book Fair books and whatnot, we had the spring one come up, and now it turns into a fight over, how much the kids are going to pay for the books, how much are they going to pay for the pencil holder, how much money can they bring, should they bring back
Yeah.
change, all that crap.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. We just had the book fair. That was a thing that happened, and We're the proud owners of a new book.
Got a book? Oh, you might
And
read a book.
Buffalo Fluffalo.
Buffalo, Buffalo.
That's the book. Yeah, yeah. So,
I God.
no, there's a lot of new reading things that were going on. So our oldest is like learning to read. So that's a whole like adventure of. So books are a big deal in our house right now. And also March is Read
You know,
Across
I don't like
America.
to brag, but books are a big deal in our house right now.
Well, it's a big topic of conversation. What books are we reading today? It's but
That's
it's Read
good.
Across America month. So
It
so
is.
it's
It's hands across America.
yeah, it's Hands Across America, but I think it's like Dr. Seuss month or something. Like March is a
It
big
was
reading month.
Dr. Seuss month just, or Dr. Seuss week, I guess,
Week.
or
Yeah,
whatever it was. That did just pass.
yeah.
They had to dress up and do some weird stuff for that.
Mm.
One of the guys, to tie it together, I started subscribing to a guy named Nate Jones for AI information. Like,
Oh
and he
yeah.
basically gives you like a 20-minute like video a day on what's going on in the industry, and he really like breaks down some concepts for you. So
Okay.
it's been very solid. It's an investment though, because it's like these are dense videos.
Mm.
One of the ones he spoke about is the types of skills he's teaching his kids.
Oh yeah.
He's
That's
got
yeah.
like a 10-year-old.
So is that like a YouTube thing or is that like a Substack? What is it? Like what
It's
is
a
it?
Substack. I'm sure you can find the videos through a couple different places, but they're like paid they're behind a paywall. So you pay a subscription for them. Not that bad, like $20. Uh, but the ones that he talks about what his kids are learning or what he's teaching his kids. And for reference, this guy, he was the head of product at Amazon. Like he's no
Mm.
joke. Like he's a
Yeah, he knows what's up.
he's a veteran fella.
Mhm.
He pointed out that he is still making his kids do long division on pencil and paper,
Hmm.
in addition to trying to build little video games for themselves using AI. So he has this barbell strategy in how he's trying to get his kids prepared for the types of things they're going to need to know how to do to be successful. And he
Mhm.
had them both using AI to like play. They were building a video game and just like giving it the prompts of what they wanted it to be, and then it would just spin up the video game. But also doing all this stuff by hand. And he said the reason for it boils down to that people are still going to need to have that deep layer of understanding of what it is because they're going to need to maintain that trust with like they need to be able to see what the AI produces and guess or estimate that that is accurate.
Right.
Because if it goes too far afield from them, then you have no idea if this makes any sense or not. And you're just flying blind. So you need
Right.
somebody who has he calls it like a sniff test. Like he's like you need
Yeah.
to be able to just say if this thing's giving you bullshit or not because it
Yeah.
thinks something fundamentally like irregular. You know, like if it
Right.
assumes like it's like in a physics world where like it's done all this physics homework over time, and so now it just assumes friction is zero
Right.
because it
Right.
wants to make the whole bit that's like it
Yeah.
wants to make the whole bit like easier. And in high school they do like just assume it's this, or it's like
Mhm.
we hit it tangentially because the math is easier when you're in high school. And then
Right.
you just the AI could just start to assume that that's the way everything really is, and it could be like fundamentally flawed. The thing is,
Yeah.
if you don't know that, then you don't know the answers they're telling you are fundamentally off.
Well, right, and I think we kind of talked about that a little bit last month, where or at least one of the months, we were saying like it's going to go so far where people are going to lose that fundamental understanding, where it's going to be a big problem.
And
Um,
that's why this guy is more or less saying like no right, like they have to keep like flexing, they need to understand it, which
right,
kind of boils down to what things like the Common Core math was driving at, but I think the intent is a little bit more pointed here.
mhm,
um that I think I'm not gonna get into Common Core math, but the the idea that they know what like division is and have like a real like taste for it was like sort of the example he gave, and he did that for like a lot of other things. He said like the people who will be successful are the senior people who just know how it is. So like he says like everybody knows like a vice president in the office who just sort of like knows how things work because he's been there for like 18 years.
right,
That guy, if he picks up AI, will be great because like when the AI throws something out as a suggestion, he can be like, well, that's never going to work. We tried that 8 years ago, and blah 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 blah
Right.
blah.
Right.
And then it's going to take much longer for the AIs to incorporate that history.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so the adoption would have to be subtle, and those people who have that institutional memory are going to be most useful. The other thing would be like, like in the physics example, it's like all of this is nonsense. Like they assumed friction is zero.
Right.
Like
Right.
none of
Right.
this works.
Right. Right. And yeah, there's a fundamental glaring flaw for somebody who knows what they're talking about, whereas somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about is going to just accept it, be like, okay, yeah, and then they're going to do it, and it's going to fail miserably, and it's just going to blow up in their face. Where and all it just takes is the one guy to be like, yeah, it doesn't work.
Right, exactly. That's what his basic
Yeah.
thesis is. I can
Yeah.
relate to it because I used to do back tests for trading strategies, and for like a while I thought like I was onto something, like I was a
Mhm.
genius, and then I realized that I wasn't accounting for like commissions.
Mm.
So then once you added the drag of commission, I
Ooh.
just didn't have commission set. It was like set to
Yeah.
zero or something. So I that happened to me like a while ago, and then once you add commissions into it, it just like dragged the whole thing down because it was just a fixed cost attached to every transaction.
Yep.
So it really screwed.
Oh, those commissions,
It's the
they get
same
you.
idea. Like somebody could have just walked along and just somebody who with real experience would have just said, "You didn't have commissions in there. None of this is all garbage. Like you have nothing."
Yeah. 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 Right. Exactly. Yeah. It
And,
makes zero sense. Yeah.
and like these are trivial examples, but the broader idea of that is what this guy is more or less preaching, where it's not that we don't need doctors because AI knows how to do all the medical stuff. On the contrary, you're going to need doctors who are really experienced to use the AI as like an assistant and know when the AI is like, yeah, this is probably a false positive.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. And to give you like a different real example is that like when you start using that stuff for complex math, say like for a building structure, if somebody can't identify the flaw in the math, that could have real practical consequences of a building failing or infrastructure failing and having some massive issues like a bridge or a building or something along those lines where yeah, that's a problem. So yeah, that could be yeah, you need somebody who really understands what's happening to check it, to give it a sanity check. That's
But it's going
that's a
to
lot
be
of what I
more.
do.
It's true, but the models themselves are quite strong at arithmetic work. A better example would be if like you tried to devise a summary of the best place to put a building, and then like
Yeah.
all of the rational paperwork says that it should be here.
Mhm.
Like you do traffic studies and all this blah 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 blah. And then what happens though is you fail to account for the fact that every year they do some big like local like festival
Thing.
there.
Right.
And then like the AI couldn't have known that because it's just like a weird little thing that's not
Work.
written
Yeah.
anywhere.
Right. Yeah. Not. Yeah.
And like somebody then they go to city hall and they get like laughed out of the room because they're like, we're not covering this up. Like this is where like
Right.
it's like that's where the lemon tree goes.
Yes.
Like that's what
Exactly.
I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah.
so they have to account for those sorts of things. And over time, the
Well,
AI will get better at it. Like the AI would then learn that and
yeah.
never suggest it again.
Yeah. Local institutional knowledge is really the
Local
key there.
institutional knowledge is something that's very
Yeah.
important.
The idiosyncratic things that you can't generally learn.
Right,
That,
right.
yeah. So there's a road around where I do a lot of work, and it's spelt very differently than the way it's pronounced. So you can always tell when somebody's from out of town as to how they pronounce that road, because if they pronounce it phonetically, it's not what they call it.
That's a very good example of the
Yeah,
idea. Yes.
yeah. So like, and that's kind of like what, for lack of a better word, the sniff test of like if an out of towner's coming in and presenting a project, and they are pronouncing the road names incorrectly, then that's like, oh, this guy doesn't really know what he's talking about, or
Right.
he doesn't really know the area, and
Mhm.
everything that he's saying, you can take it with a grain of salt.
100%.
I got called on that on a very small thing. The way the street was spelt was Appel, and
Appel. So it's like
yeah.
not
So how
quite
would you?
apple.
So how would you pronounce that?
Appel.
Yeah, so yeah, they pronounce it. They very much pronounce it Appel Street, and I was like Apple Street or something like that. Like it's very much like a different and like and the guy kind of pulled me aside. He's like, hey, just so you know, they call it Appel Street. I'm like, okay, yeah, good to know, thank you. It's like, oh, ouch, that hurts. But yeah,
Should have been like, that's stupid.
No, no, no. But yeah, it's that local idiosyncratic knowledge is going to be something that you just have to know, and the AI isn't really going to have that. So that's yeah,
Well, they say
it's a good
that
take. Or like I said,
it's
it'll
one of
take
the
time.
things. It's that the local institutional memory and the soft side is a piece of it. The other piece that he's talking about is with for kids, they're going to need to maintain their like
Well, their thought process. They need to understand how to think.
they have to build out like their intuition of things, like
Right.
things that are they need to understand things like what is a million to a billion, like
Mhm.
analogies like that,
Yeah, yeah.
because they have to be careful not to see things that are like
On a piece of paper, it's three
piece
digits,
of paper,
but
or something of scientific notation, like
right. Yeah,
that's
that's
like
a
an
good point.
interesting example where like if they're off by a magnitude of 100, those
Mhm.
are still things that they need to be able to identify because
Right.
to now, and this is the long division thing. Now, like if you're like a physics kid in your college, and I remember we both took physics in college. I remember. Um, if you took that, part of your job was to do the fucking like equations and homework, and it was still on a notepad and it was still on a thing. You had to write it out, and you would inevitably hand in homework, and your TA might be like scratch it off because like you like you did the exponential math wrong, like you're like off by one because you just like you made a stupid mistake,
Hmm.
and then your answer was right arithmetically, but it was off by like say a factor of 10, you know, and you just didn't know. You're just like handing it in. You're an idiot student. Well, that's the type of thing that like the AI sort of is now. It's like
Right.
it's gonna do stuff where it might just like make an idiot mistake and then suddenly they'll be off by a factor of 10. It's
Right.
like the spacecraft that blew up where the one component was working in meters, centimeters, and the other side was working in inches and feet and yards.
Right.
And so then when it tried to talk to each other in space, it didn't know what to do and it blew up.
It's a problem.
So that's what I think is going to happen. Like people are going to have to still maintain that sense of things, that like magnitudes and things of that nature. And the only way you do that though is by doing the legwork. You got to do the
Yeah.
math to like know it. You can't just like expect someone who's never spent their time doing that to catch that something happened to be a magnitude of 10 off. It's not an intuitive thing for people who aren't well skilled in it. That's the whole
Right.
thing.
You can't take the shortcuts.
Exactly, exactly. But the gotcha is going to be that like so many companies are not hiring 22-year-olds now because they're relying so heavily on the 49-year-olds who are those people with that local institutional knowledge. That guy's going to retire or get hit by a bus or
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know whatever, move, leave, go to a different company, and now they're not going to have anyone coming up the next like level, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're finding that in from a recruiting standpoint that there's just a very dry talent pool coming up
It's just like
below.
weak. It's like a
Yeah.
weaker crop. Yeah,
Well,
that's the
yeah.
concern.
Weaker crop number one, and then number two, just volume is low because
Oh, that's another thing. Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, it's one of those things where talk about like recruiting, where if there's a large volume, you'll figure out there's going to be good talent somewhere in that large volume. But as that volume dwindles, even if there is good talent, then there's just a lot less of them, and
right.
it's
1 in 100
yeah,
becomes 1 in 1,000.
right, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I get you.
yes,
That's
so it's tough.
that's a piece of it too, and that's probably not going to change in the near future.
Nope. Job security. All right.
That's kind of what I feel. I'm like this too. I was like, great. I'm in a great position. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's like it makes you feel a little better. It's like, all right, well, I kind of know what I'm doing, so hopefully I'm valuable.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
You're kind of right in the sweet spot where it's just like, all right, you
Yeah,
hope you stay there.
I
Yeah, I
learned how
feel
to do
where I
everything
am
the
right
hard
now.
way. Like I learned how to do everything analogly, and now I
Oh,
can
ugly.
analogly, and that's probably another word. Doing things analogly, like I had to do things by hand, and I just had a guy in my division who took a test that I took when I was in college. You had to pass like your EIT to exam. So I was one of the last people to take. I was one of the last people to take the SATs in high school, like pen and paper, all that stuff, and then also do the writing section. Like I think my year was like the first year the writing section was like counted, but nobody really cared. So that was the whole thing. Like the SATs, I think they got rid of it at some point, but that was the whole thing. Like we took the SATs like on the morning of, where I think now they take them like at a learning center. But then this EIT test that I took in college, like it used to be that you have to take it on a specific day at a specific time, and everybody in the country took it at the same time. Like that's what it was, and it was offered twice a year, and that was it. So there's one in the fall and one in the spring. Now you can take it basically any time throughout the year at a testing learning center online, and it's like a whole different experience. So,
Mm.
so
I know what you're saying.
like
Yeah.
so I had to like, and when I took my PE exam, like I had to take all of my physical reference material to the test, and I had to learn how to navigate through all that physical reference material and doing all that by hand, like pen and paper, all that stuff. Whereas now people who are taking that test, it's all digital online, and all of the reference material is digital. So like Control F, like you can find what you.
I've had to sit for a few certifications, and they offered it virtually, meaning I could do it from this very seat where I'm sitting right now at home.
Yeah.
And the amount of theatrical security you have to put on is quite something. So I have to show my license the day of into the
Yeah.
camera, and then I have to take my camera and I have to like do a 360, and it's like takes pictures of everything to show like where I am and that I don't have any other things up and blah blah blah, and then it has to be like on me at all times, and it has the facial recognition so it sees that I'm doing like it is very very like intense. But through it all you're still at home, and you can still like trick the thing if you so chose. So yes, that's
Right.
entirely possible.
Well, I'm not saying trick the thing. I'm just saying that you know, I what we were talking about was like the sniff test and like having to do things. Like I had to learn how to do all that stuff very manually, right?
Sure.
So doing this stuff manually, like he's talking about doing long division, like by hand, like there's a definitely, in my opinion, there is like it gets ingrained in your brain a little differently when you're physically like doing something, as opposed to just reading something digitally.
100%.
Yeah. So, for in my opinion, is that like the fact that I had to go through all of that, there's a little bit of like respect from people who are older than me. Like, okay, well, you actually had to go through all the same things that I did, and the fact that I had to go through all of that stuff is like,
So you
okay,
respect me immensely.
well, no, but it's like, okay,
Kind of.
there's a little bit of a disconnect. Whereas like the guy who just took the test, like I had a little bit of disdain for him, because it's like, hey, you just had this electronic document where you could literally just look up what like a keyword and get to the section that you needed to do, and then like it basically would almost explain how to do the problem. Like if you have some semblance of knowledge of how to do it, you could figure it out based on the reference material. But it's not like you had to sit and study and do it. Like, you know, I, I was like, oh man, that really, it stings a little bit. I don't know. I had a little animosity towards him, like just the way he took the test, and it was like, that it's just different. Old man shakes fist at cloud. That's really what it comes down to.
What? No, I get it. I get it. One of the implications of it is with the classic item is you have to do your arithmetic because you won't always have a calculator on you.
Mm,
And then ha ha ha, everybody has a calculator in their phone now.
right.
And everyone uses Excel, and it's all calculators, and it's blah 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 blah. So you ask people to do, your average person would have difficulty doing probably like complicated algebra 2. Like they just wouldn't be able to do it.
It's a fair point. Yeah, I guess that's
Like
fair.
because it's just not something you do every day.
Right.
The thing about it is, at what point does it almost become an actual hindrance?
Right.
Like nobody
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah.
nobody actually does the options pricing model every day.
Right.
Right? It's you use a model that's probably much more complicated, to be frank, and it spits it out on the computer screen. But do you have like the mental model in your head of how like these things are influencing it? Like the numerator goes up and the denominator goes down. What's going to happen? Like it's those intuitive things that like you kind of need to be aware of. So how
Right.
you get that knowledge,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
it's going to go back the other direction a little bit, where like having that intuitive knowledge is going to, because it's going to, the arithmetic is going to go so up the chain, like that, that kid in 5 years might not even have to do it or search for that stuff. He might have to be able to punch it into an AI assistant
right.
to like derive the answer.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I like, and I mean, with the specific example, I think people coming out of college, I think because they have all these tools at their disposal, I don't think they have the theory nailed down as well as they should.
And it's debatable, I think, and depending on what your industry is, how important that is. I
Mm,
mean, like my average people at like a bank don't need to know much theory. It's all operational processing.
that's fair. Yeah.
You know, like you're at your average like middle. You just have to learn. You have to learn the systems, and you'll like data flows through, and that's more or less it. You don't need to understand like the nuances of Federal Reserve policy and how it impacts like, you know,
Yeah.
banking regulatory landscapes. Like you have to know that shit on paper, and you take your course, but it doesn't come up as a matter of day-to-day stuff. Just like nothing in college comes up directly in your day-to-day job for most people, unless you're like a college professor or you're in some sort of deep research position.
Right. Yeah. I think that's very much dependent on what field you're in. Because like I said, like a regulatory thing is very different than like a mathematical theory thing. I think, in my opinion, like some of the stuff that I deal with, like you need to know the theory behind it so that you can articulate why things happen the way they happen, or why it's important, or why this isn't important.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole thing boils down to this guy. This guy's main point is make sure your kids are still learning the basics, because a lot of people are gonna. It's gonna atrophy for a lot of people very quickly. So
Right.
to have them will give you a significant edge. That's more
That's a
or
good
less
point.
his thesis.
That's a good point.
Um,
Yeah, I think atrophy is the right word there. That's a good way of putting it.
and it's like physically. It's not like, and like I could foresee people being like, dude, this guy still knows how to do like
He knows
math.
how to use an abacus.
Right. And it's like, or
Yeah.
it's like they're like the mental equivalent of preppers,
Mm,
who like guys who know how to do like all that shit. Like they can go out into the woods and just survive.
mm.
Because what if there's an apocalypse and then we have to do that? Like I think
Right.
they could come off that way, but like for the mental
Yeah. Right.
aspects of labor, nevertheless,
Yeah.
that's probably where things are going.
Yep.
So
Was it red and sweet and good to eat?
yeah, right. It's like, okay, we're all set. Everybody go. No,
Yeah.
we would just take the pill and all just done. We would have no chance.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'd try. I'd give it a try.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to deal with all the kids and everything. Like, oh, you don't want to do that. All right. So I have a couple other fun stuff. Moving lastly, have you noticed some of the predictions? Some of the stuff that's come out?
I have not. I have not been keeping up to date with it. I've been keeping up with my stuff, and they're not looking out, not looking too good.
Well,
But
the Trump administration may or may not release documents proving that there are aliens.
uh-huh, yeah,
That like might actually be a thing that happens. So
yeah,
I was pretty impressed by that.
yeah,
Um, well, so we'll keep watching. I'm gonna do in June. I'm gonna do like a whole like mid-year breakdown
yeah.
of like
Mid-year recap.
where we
Yeah,
stand on stuff. Yeah, the market stuff didn't go so hot. I was expecting that to be a little bit better. But I wanted to try out like having the chart up to see how much it helps and stuff. So I'm gonna try to temper that for next month. That'll be where we go from there.
it'd be one thing if you could just get the market on the screen and not have you there, so it's not as small.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
know, maybe just yeah,
but we'll figure that part out. Um, New stuff coming on the store. I'm gonna do store quarterly drops on the store, I think, this year with some new stuff. So that should be fun. I will see how it goes in terms of sales. It's been slow. It's been slow 2026. I'm not gonna lie. A little
yeah. Well,
disappointed, but
yeah,
that's okay. I think we're finally going to get some unique stuff up on Instagram, more so than what has been up the last couple of weeks. I've been doing a lot of stuff beneath the surface to be able to have a longer term. I've been building out my AI engine. I'm building out my AI intern is becoming my AI chief of staff, so that a
Mm,
lot of little things can be run via little AI agents. That is, of course, unless the email has an image in it, and then I'm not
of
gonna.
course, then we're screwed. We're all screwed. That's how we take over. We take everything back. We just put a bunch of images. We communicate in memes only.
We communicate in memes. That's why hieroglyphics arose
Yeah,
years ago. Well,
exactly.
last time there was an AI apocalypse, they switched to writing on stone tablets, and then that
Mm,
was the end of it.
yeah, there you go.
Um, so we'll see what happens with that. But beyond that, we're gonna keep things going strong. Substack every Tuesday. Instagram, look for stuff through the week. Check out the store for the new items. And then I do not have any other things, guest appearances set at the moment, but one could be brewing for April. So I just don't know yet. We'll see. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. So Thomas, do you have anything else you want to say before we sign off for the night?
Um, the two things really. One, I enjoyed your appearance on the Market Mamas podcast. I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was a very good conversation that you had. I thought it was fun to listen to. So another instance of Trader Dad in the wild. That was pretty fun. It's fun to listen to.
That's
Yeah, it was
true.
good. That was good. That was a fun conversation to listen to, and I thought that was a good appearance. I thought that was good. And then I'm still embarking on my AI journey, so I'm still working on some stuff, and I sent over some Trader Dad specific AI things that I thought would be fun to talk about, but
Yeah, we didn't
we'll
get
have
to
to
those. Maybe almost like it was on purpose. We didn't get to those.
almost like it was on purpose. Understood. Yes, got it. Yeah, I don't know, but
Okay,
I'm
we got
enjoying playing
with
around with
the
it.
it's an unformed idea. Just it's coal waiting to be turned into a diamond.
Yeah, of course. But I thought it was a fun foray into the AI tools just to figure out like, hey, what is this capable of doing and how quickly can it actually process some stuff? So I'm learning about AI, and I thought the the fact that you're implementing it really heavily into what you're doing is helpful insights for what I'm trying to at least learn about. So I appreciate that, and that's good educational content for me. I'm learning just like everybody else. So I appreciate that. So. But
I'm not really teaching it. I'm more like commenting on my experience thus far.
but it's still it's educational learning about like what your experience is, at least seeing how somebody is using it in like real world. Learning.
Right,
Okay,
right. I mean, what I can say is, like I have a pretty strong, I have an above average strength in terms of the underlying concepts, technologies, and implementations of this. Like I want, I've managed like automation workflows, and I've had Python environments up for a while, and all sorts of different stuff. So if I'm a little bit like this is a steep learning curve, that means like your average person, average operational person who suddenly thinks like they're going to become like an AI agent manager, they're going to have to really like think it through because it's not as simple or straightforward as it might be thought of. So we'll see.
yeah. So, but I mean, that's really all I've got. Obviously, got to check out that store. Have everybody check out the store. Got to get our donations up for the fund, and then we'll have to try to. If we get up to a certain dollar amount, we should try to get a fun run going.
Let's get a fun ring on. Yeah, I think what's the number? I'm gonna. Yeah, we'll see what the last 2 weeks of the quarter bring in. But right now, I will be donating $9.
But still, that's still something.
I'll be
That,
donating $9. So that was our contribution for the quarter. It's been tough when the market is not really moving around as much. I think people are a little tighter, and they
yeah,
don't really feel the need to buy novelty hats from Etsy.
yeah. That's a good point.
We're, we're not really what we'd call recession proof.
Yeah, I mean, and people are selling their private jets because they're getting margin called. It's a tough market out there, man. It's just
Yeah,
you know,
you thought they were gonna like cycle down and be like, well, I can't have a private jet, so maybe I'll get like this cool hat. Cool
yeah,
hat. But all right, so we're heading out. We're obviously deliriously tired because it's very late. It's Sunday night. So we will tighten this up in the editing bay floor. And that's it.
okay. Well,
Yeah.